All right, gotta wait for some people to jump on so that we can start. And at this point, I already forgot about what our topics were because that preface took an eternity. Hello to those joining in, kind of getting our live going here. Hopefully you guys, I know I should have started 20 minutes ago, but it's like I had to seriously preface, and all the time I have to preface, if you're new to this whole topic, don't watch my lives. Don't watch my lives, please. You'll just get confused and discouraged because we're training up people, you know? Hi, if you guys are, if you've been watching me and been following for months now or just years into this journey as well, we are training people up. Okay, because you guys have it in you. You can do it. It's not about being vocal on your Instagram. It's not like vocal on Facebook. I mean, forget these platforms already at this point. Just get yourself 100% convicted and convinced in this topic, and you will be able to just have a conversation with a mom you meet and have the sources to be able to provide to them, you know, or a family that you meet at church. That's what advocating really is about. It's not about, you know, being on Instagram and being on Facebook, right? There's so many natural ways for you to advocate. And obviously, most important thing besides convincing yourself is convincing your spouse, convincing your loved one. So if you're still having a tough time with that, then it's great that you can take this time. Know that there's still a lot of time and there's still a lot of information out there, okay? So can I say... Sure, lives should save for 24 hours. I mean, I did a whole talk on polio last week that didn't save, but it should be up for 24 hours. There's a lot of reasons why I don't want to save my lives and why I don't want to post these hour-long things to YouTube. I mean, I get to really be myself in these things, and sometimes things slip out and we have fun on here, and I just that's my thing. That's just my thing. So other places you guys can find me. I know a lot of other people in this are starting on other platforms from MeWe, you know, Minds. I did download Minds, and I saved my name, so it's the same name as on Instagram, but I haven't done anything on there, so I don't know. It seems like it's the same platform. I also am on Freedomizer Radio on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to noon. I'm trying to add 2 more time slots to that. They've offered it to me. I'm just figuring out my schedule with my work. So there you have it. But there's so much to cover. Okay, so someone tell me, what did I say that we were going to go over today? My mind is already like... where were we going to start? Right, so you guys, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. It's not just big pharma that we need to, go after these. Who do we go after? Who do we put the blame on? The media is huge at fault here. And I know that people are trying to organize like these protests and these, you know, at like state capitals and whatever. But honestly, your media is the reason why the hate is so incredible right now in this country. I mean, did you see what that lady posted yesterday on here? That she is, I screenshot it, I saved it on my highlights, I mean in my stories, and it was like she's trained to vaccinate. And if she meets a child who's not vaccinated but is able to be vaccinated, she's going to do it whether you consent or not. Like that kind of dangerous thinking, and even her throwing that out there, whether she was just like threatening or not, that is very dangerous thinking. That is disgusting and vile, but it is a product of what the media has done in this country. Thank you, Kim. I believe truly that if you want to really protest somewhere, it needs to be outside of Fox, outside of CNN, outside of MSNBC. These people have for years been villainizing parents who just do not want to poison their children. And that is why the response from the public is so incredibly thick. And that's what, when people are like, oh, well, what's scary to you? That's what's scary to me. What's scary to me is that the brainwashing has worked, clearly, because look at how they respond. Like, I'm going to show you another one from just earlier today, which is just like, what is this? Who thinks this way? And they're just so incredibly dense at this point. Like, they're so incredibly fluoridated, like need decalcifying as soon as possible. But look at this, okay? And I'm not blocking out her name because she chose to post this. This is their messed up way of thinking. Check this out. Disclaimer, not an invitation to argue, attempt to change my mind, or disagree. Any contrary opinions will not be met with my usual diplomacy. I will bring my full and considerable command of language to tell you why you are incorrect. Okay, this is Charlotte. Charlotte has been vaccinated on time every time against everything. Charlotte has whooping cough, but she is vaccinated. She is current on her pertussis vaccine. How did this happen? Let me tell you. Someone else decided that their bunk science and poorly informed choices were worth more than other people's health. Then that idiot told the other idiots about the same bad science, and they made poor choices. The problem spread, right, until someone else decided, okay, wait, until the point my daughter was in a population without herd immunity. Okay, so this person is clearly an indoctrinated sheep. Now she cannot move, laugh, or talk without a coughing fit. Vaccinate your kids, vaccinate yourself, your personal choice becomes, so look at this, right? We all know where this is going. F you, F pro-plague attitudes, F blah, blah, blah. This is how they think. This is her daughter, who she vaccinated with freaking pertussis, who, guess what, now has pertussis. She is literally blaming children who are walking around who don't have the pertussis inside their system. Like, okay, so this is what I mean by it is so damn futile to be arguing with parents like this. It is so incredibly futile. It is the biggest waste of time, okay? Like, literally, at this point, if you think that documented poison is gonna make your immune system run better, then you need vaccines. You need them, okay? But if you believe your body runs better when it's not poisoned, guess what? Stay away from vaccines. Holy moly, I mean, wow, the idiocy in that this person took, you know what, all the time that she took to write this out, she could have read half an insert and seen that there are chances for her to get this. Like, oh my gosh, I mean, the 30 kids that have pertussis right now in Los Angeles were all vaccinated against it. And so this dangerous way of thinking, now, pharma, the CDC, and all of them, they're not going to back down on pushing that they're safe and effective and they work. They're not going to back down on that. It's not going to happen. It's a medical mafia, okay? It's easier for them literally to kill everybody in this movement than admit that they are the reason why there is any chronic illness, allergies, all of our lifelong dependency and needs on pharmaceutical products are because of them and their poisons. And they're not going to admit it. Don't wait around for them to admit it. It's just not going to happen, paid or damaged. So I just feel like this movement needs to also properly put that blame on the media that is responsible for this. The media is responsible for this. Look at what they're posting up. This tetanus story that's circulating right now, boy in Texas gets tetanus, doesn't die, but, $800,000 in medical bills. First of all, $800,000, that's nothing. You've seen that the CDC paid almost $1 million to Harvard to better the VAERS system, but they didn't like the results that Harvard came up with, saying that it's actually 1 in 10 getting vaccine injury, so they just floated away. They just didn't bother with the rest of that study. They don't care about $1 million. $1 million is nothing for them. So they're also using a story that's 2 years old. If you look at the links for this boy that's got tetanus after 30 years, like first case in 30 years, you're going to see that it happened in 2017. So literally, if you are so incredibly medicated and poisoned, you won't be able to see this. You won't be able to see the agenda behind all of this, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? Parents that are involved in this, that their firstborns had to essentially be the guinea pig. We were trusting pharma. We were all lied to. They have had to just move past that. They know not to place the blame on themselves, right? They know that it's not their fault. They were just trusting in this system. And so that is the only way to pick yourself up and continue to move forward, right? Exactly. The DTaP has Guillain-Barré on the insert. It's just madness. So that's kind of what I wanted to go to. Now you can also, with just average research, get onto so like that site that I was posting up yesterday. It's like, don't ever read mommy blogs except this big mommy blog, this Scary Mommy. If you were to just Google Scary Mommy vaccines, right? They have so many articles that are pro-vax. So then you wonder, you're like, well, who are Scary Mommy, right? This is literally from their site, Scary Mommy here, okay? So in February of 2015, it was acquired by whoever these people are, okay? These are now their partners. So this is now up to you to then go ahead and research, okay, what is this group who purchased Scary Mommy? What other companies do they own? And I'll let you do that on your free time because you're gonna be appalled. This group, Vinint, some spider, right? This one. Just Google up what they own and then tell me if this blog is not completely bought. All right, not completely bought. These people, look at who advertises with them too. Check out their advertising. Look at their partners, okay? Look at their partners, freaking Diet Coke, okay? Jell-O, right? These are the people who freaking partner with them. So do you think at any point Scary Mommy is gonna actually really, like, that they care about your child? Like, how do you have Plum Organics, you know, under the same thing as like Welch's Fruit Snacks? Like, how? You guys, please see through this, please. Like, this is who they partner with, okay? All these companies. So, you know, make your own informed decision from that point. Clearly, how can there not be bias with a blog like that? And yeah, I mean, fine, they post up funny memes to just kind of, what's the most the thing that trips me out with Scary Mommy too is they're constantly talking about not mom shaming. They were literally, I think, one of the first blogs that tried to kind of coined that. Like, we shouldn't be mom shaming each other. Yet every vaccine blog on this site is shaming parents who are opting out and literally making fun of us that we use mommy blogs and that we use Google, and like they're a mommy blog who's constantly using Google and referencing that. So they are complete trash. And this is what I mean. Like, you need to just be able to properly, with your dollars, understand who it is that you're supporting. And when people go and look into the media like all these companies from CNN, BBC, how do they run? Well, they run from your cable subscriptions, first of all. $8 of every subscription goes towards keeping these companies in business, and then they're sponsored. Look at who is sponsoring them. Look at the companies that sponsor. It's literally owned at this point by Big Pharma. So when we say medical mafia, this is what we're talking about. Why would a news anchor get on television live on the 6 o'clock news and speak bad about a company that is pretty much financing her lifestyle or his lifestyle? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. There are no real journalists. No real journalists anymore. Why do you think people are flocking to like other sources to get their news? I mean, there's just no real journalists, and the real journalists are doing this. They're not getting paid to do this, and they're getting jailed, especially in Europe. So you have to be able to see through that. Those anchors on the news, they are just paid shills at this point, and they repeat the same thing. I mean, have you guys seen those clips? Those clips like that just, this is how brainwashing works. It's the same script that's literally given to every news station. And this is why America is tripping out. This is why it is futile to argue, first of all, with anybody. You want to talk to your family members, first of all, find out where they get their news. That's a great start. You know, I had an insurance meeting over the weekend with this mom, single mom, right? She was trying to get some accidental plan. And I go into her house. And as soon as I walk into the house, you know, CNN is on the television. Do you think, I'm like that, literally just seeing that on TV, I just knew that a conversation would just not go anywhere with her. So I was like, okay, let me just show her what I need to show her from these protection plans. And that was it. I was on my merry way. Why waste your time? Why? Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. So just finding out what people's news sources are will literally alleviate a lot of your problems when it comes to like, how do I talk to this person? How do I talk to that? Because, you know, you can show somebody that one Pediatrix vaccine from the insert, okay, you Google it up, one Pediatrix vaccine contains 850 micrograms of aluminum. You can show them that, literally from the insert. Be like, look. And then you can go on the FDA website and you can look up the maximum level of aluminum that is allowed, right? What is the maximum level of aluminum in other products? And the FDA will simultaneously approve a vaccine that has 850 micrograms of aluminum, but on their site, not approve other products that have more than 25 micrograms of aluminum. And you just look at that. You stare at that together with them, and then you see what their mind does. You know, see if like Common Core math has done its job in this country. There's a huge gap there, don't you think? Trace amounts. And you're talking like, they don't even want to approve 25 micrograms of aluminum that's being ingested. And we know there's aluminum in everything. We're ingesting aluminum all day long. We can't help it, but that's because our bodies are only absorbing the 0.05% of it, right? And the rest of it is trying to come in. But when you're injecting it, that's 100%. 100% that it's absorbing. So the thing is, you can show somebody that, and they're just not, it might not click. And then worse, they might call you a conspiracy theorist, literally with the FDA website staring at them in the face. Anybody who uses the term conspiracy theorist at this point right now, that just tells me that you're on a different level of laziness. You're lazy. If you're just going to use conspiracy theorist, oh, okay, this won't go anywhere. You are a lazy person. Ben Shapiro is terrible. I'm no longer following him. I did admire his political stance. I respect him in his debates and how he'll never try to debate. Like he should go up against Del Bigtree. He should go and try to debate anyone else in this movement. He will literally not stand a chance. But his wife is a doctor, so that's when you have to understand that. Oh, it's because he's married to, I believe she's even a pediatrician. Why would he mess with his income in that way? So you got to understand where people are coming from too. And then there's like the bigger picture here too, you guys, where when you get wealthy and you're up here and you're also like pretty smart here, wealthy, a lot of these people do look down at everybody else like they are less than, and almost like cynically don't quite care, which is why if you just don't have God in your life, you can become the evil, which is the powers that be. You really can, easily. If I didn't have God in my life, I know a lot of people, I'm related to a lot of people who, especially in the Philippines, they're wealthier, they're well connected, and the way that they look at the rest of the country and the population, it's kind of like, they still have maids there. Like third world countries like that, you can still have a full-time nanny and cook that lives with you that you pay around $100 a month US. US. Okay? And like I have family that they'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, we don't vaccinate our kids, but we require our staff to be inoculated." It's hard. Let me just say, at family gatherings, it's been really, really hard. Really hard. So it's hard and it's futile. You really, really need to spare yourself. And it's taken me it's taken me 10 years. But I can tell you that in the first 5-6 years, it was like ripping my hair out. It was. So I feel the frustration. All I'm doing and why I talk like this is because I'm trying to spare you from like what it's done to me physically. Really. They have staff, live-in staff. They do. My parents never had to change a diaper. The first diaper my father ever changed was my daughter's, was his granddaughter's in America. My dad doesn't know what it's like to have to like hang out with your kid. We would just come to him when we were like in good moods and good, like after bath and go up and, they'd hang out with us. But the minute we started getting fussy and acting up, like, oh, okay, somebody, can you come take this baby? And it was like that. That's how life in the Philippines is. If you're making American money, that would probably be a place to retire, just saying, because you could live like a king and a queen, literally. You'd have a driver. You can have a driver for like 120 US a month. Who'll drive you around. That's why I have family that's past 40 years old, they don't know how to drive. And it's not knocking on them. It's just, what do they need to know how to drive for? They got a driver. Like, what's the point? I'm telling you, it's different in other countries. It's different. And that kind of stuff still goes on over there. So, like, why? Yeah, why did my parents leave that lush lifestyle? Well, my dad fell in love with the ministry and wanted to get into that, and so he had to come to America to do that. We went to school out here, yada, yada, yish. But that was hard, seeing my mom. My mom was, like, in her 20s when we first moved out here, and watching her have, like, breakdowns, mental breakdowns, and, like, because she didn't know how to work a dishwasher or work, like, a washing machine, or she had to learn. My dad had to hire a German missionary, the wife of a German missionary that they knew. Pretty much she had to teach my mom how to cook, how to clean, how to be a mom, and how to be a wife. She had to learn all that in her like mid-20s. So just different life. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, that's why our Filipino food doesn't taste like other people's Filipino food. Ours is really lean because the Germans, a lot of Filipinos like to cook with fatty stuff. Like they keep all the fat in there. Our Filipino food has always been really lean, which I like. I got used to because I love my mom's cooking now, obviously. Okay, so I'm just saying it's been really, really hard with family. And I also deal with family that the bulk of them are still in the Philippines living that kind of lifestyle to where they just don't get it. And a lot of them just won't. And when people also get past a certain age, they really just either can't take in any more information or just don't want to. They just don't want to, It's like exhausting to take on something new like that. It's just very different when we go. We enjoy the islands and all that. We don't stay in the cities, but yeah. So I think that needs to be kind of our next bit of a call to action. I don't know who's going to quite go and organize that. Lord knows I've got too much going on. But if there was a meetup or an organization where it was like firing back towards this media, that they're the reason why your family members and your neighbors and your friends think that you are detrimental to society. And they're the reason. Okay? So if you're catching yourself here being frustrated with explaining to anybody around you, think of their source of information. If their source of information is that, then that's why. And that needs to be targeted. And that, at least, if not targeted, showcased. Showcase who owns these media companies. Start showing it, Get that research, show it to them, and then whatever from there, just whatever. We all have to, at the end of the day, do you guys ever sometimes with your spouse sit and have I know it can't just be Jeff and I, but do you ever sit and have conversations like, what would you guys do if really everything came crashing to a halt and everything came to an end? What would you do? If you had to, like the other day, Jeff and I were talking about what would life be like if we had to be like cavemen. Like, what would we do? And I don't know, just interesting. It's interesting seeing the perspective from your spouse too. Like, would you get that like fire inside you, as many of these men used to have back then, and can still find, like it's in there. It's been compressed. It's been buried because of what society is right now. It's been buried, but they rediscover it. A lot of rediscovering has to do with decalcifying, reprogramming, and rewiring your mind. You have to rewire your mind. So what I wanted to talk to many of you on here, because I know a lot of you have been messaging me, you want to now be able to like lead, and you want to be able, and that's amazing. It's really amazing, especially if you're new at that. I tell my kids all this, especially Amelia, the only way that you know that you've actually learned something is if you can teach it. This is why when we did our whole dumbing down on America, I know we're still in that with the radio show for the past month, they used to have that method in the early 1900s, and they still practice that in the Amish communities, where if you, the children teach the grade below. So if you're like in 4th grade, you after school are tutoring a 3rd grader, and you're being tutored by a 5th grader. And that was the method on how they taught and learned. And it was very inclusive, and it was like a 99% effective method that we no longer practice today in our schools. But it's like the best thing you could do for your kid if they're struggling with a problem is get them a tutor who's a kid. Give somebody a summer job, like somebody who's 1 or 2 grades higher, because they had just learned that, So I want to put that method onto you too. Now, if you're also spiritual like me, if you believe in God, understand this. Immaturity has a shelf life. There is a point even in Christianity where you need to start teaching. It doesn't mean you need to go and be a pastor, but you need to start teaching. You can find all of this in Hebrews 5:13-14. Sometimes Christianity also becomes more about checking off the boxes, than becoming close to Jesus. And we think that Bible knowledge means spiritual maturity, but don't deceive yourselves. Don't deceive yourselves. It's not Bible knowledge. It's not. It is spiritual maturity goes hand in hand with obedience. But, even when they took surveys, any survey that they've done on actually what spiritual growth, what causes the most spiritual growth, it's Bible engagement. That's in Hebrews 4, chapter 4, verse 12, and then Hebrews chapter 5. Read through that, because it is all about how now you can take what you have been learning and get in those attempts to start teaching. All right, you can't obviously. You got to move beyond these elementary teachings of Christ and be taken forward to this maturity level. So same thing with this topic of vaccines. Once you're like, look, I got enough to at least plant a seed and leave them with a little bit here. So like people who are new and get on to my Instagram, who'll message me, send me all the links you have. Are you kidding me? Look at my setup right now, you guys. I have like 2 laptops running, okay? Books, notes, all of that. Upstairs, I have my desktop. I have 4 hard drives. One is dedicated to literally just all my vaccine stuff. For me to just send you everything I have. What? No, you have to be specific. And doing that also is a disservice, because they're not going to read it. They're not going to read it. Literally, I can't tell you how many people, when people ask, let's say just for the heavy metal detox information, I have already just something that I can copy paste. It's literally got a link with FAQs on it. And if you click that there's like 14 FAQs and then all this other information. And I literally say, here's the link. And if you have more questions, feel free to ask. I'll send that link, and half the time people will be like, yeah, but is this safe for nursing? Or yeah, but is it? And you're like, did you read what I sent you? Did you do that? Because I sent you all this stuff. You're not even clicking on it. And I'm tired. I can't do it. I can't do it. Are you guys with me? Like, it's frustrating. So you can't, you gotta know what kind of like level they're on to in their journey into just realizing that vaccines are, spacing them out is also, what are you doing? Just what are you doing? And then you go from there, because literally it's too hard and it's taking up too much time. So, but you guys here, let's go over some rebuttals together. You guys want to do some rebuttals for friends and family? I did one. I didn't save it. I mean, I technically have it kind of saved, but I was drinking wine during the holidays where I did this, how to talk to friends and family thing. So, I mean, it just, people would take it the wrong way if they like just met me. They'd be like, dude, she is mean. It's like, no, I'm not. Look, here's the thing too with the meanness. These are people who think that I'm mean or you're mean by telling them inconvenient truths. These are the same people who had a doctor and pediatrician nicely tell them to poison their children. So which one do you want? Which one is it? I mean, because, oh, Erin, do you remember that? I'm like, how do I reword this? Because I just don't want to be like crazy. Because I even have like ways to properly troll. Like I could teach people how to be a pro-vax troll the right way. If you want to learn the right way to be a pro-vax troll, because it just seems like if you're getting paid, by pharma to do this, you should have at the very least, done some research. I mean, so okay. So if you're dealing with pro-vax friends and family, right? Between us here, let's talk about some popular topics, popular things that they love to talk about. All right, but keep this in mind before we get into this. Some people really do want to believe that poisoning their children is good, but not because there's any proof, but because it helps them as a parent be accepted into this corrupt society. Try to understand that. Okay, there are many people who think this way, and that is the whole point of why we have to educate others. We have to raise interest and curiosity so people can research themselves. You also cannot live your life holding someone else's hand and guiding them through all of these steps, because it's almost like when the hits the fan, what are they going to do? Come to your house? You might only be having enough resources and preparing for your immediate family, not for them. Because trust me, Jeff is going to be doing his bug out bag thing soon. We're going to try to do that within a couple weeks. It's just we keep getting stuff pushed back here. But we're not prepping for anybody besides Jeff, me, and our 3 babies. Step 1, if you want to join in with that fun, please make sure that all of your children and yourself have passports that are up to date. That's the first thing. I lived in a country where we were under martial law with a real dictator back in the 80s, and from birth, our parents were already applying to get passports for us. That was just the normal, because if things do go down, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And you better get your passports now. Put that on your list of things to do before all of this mandates come through and before they're going after adults as well, because then you won't be able to renew driver's license and passports, which if you're an adult, they're good for up to 10 years. So renew them now, perhaps, so that you then don't have to worry about that problem for a little bit. I think with children, it's at least every 4 to 5 years. There you go. Get that on your list of things to do. This is not like doomsday prep, like me trying to, I'm just saying it's good to have these conversations with your significant other also so that you know where to go, what to do in case that something happens. Like with my mom, because she went through like an 8-point something earthquake in the Philippines, my dad had to learn the hard way that my mom becomes paralyzed during an actual crisis. If there is an earthquake that happens, my mom will be crouched on the floor, paralyzed, not like literally not able to move. She's the person in the movie that says, we're all gonna die, and those are the people that die first. So my dad knows that he needs to, during a crisis, all the more make sure my mom is in a safe place, and then it's pretty much on him. It's pretty much on him to, like, step one before the passport thing is you tell yourself, this is not going to happen this way today. I'm not going to die. We're going to be okay. My family's, you say it out loud because that is, I can't get into the how that works really at this point, but you also can't have this mentality of, what am I going to do? I'm so scared. What am I going to do? Stop. Just have a plan. Okay? Please get that stuff in order. That's really important. So, when it comes to friends and family, first of all, don't spend time, how do we say this? So you want people to research for themselves. You want to raise interest and curiosity. But remember, for a lot of people, vaccination is a way to use the child as a human shield inside this corrupt society to just gain safety and security. And so then the research to them just doesn't even matter. So move along with that, okay? If you really, really want to convince like grandma, or you don't want your aunt to worry about you and worry about your kids because she watches CNN all day long, don't spend time talking about the things that you're not doing. Don't say like, oh, we're not going to be vaccinating. Talk about the things that you are doing. Like, look, we chose to hold off on that for now, but we are using the latest health and nutrition research to keep their immune system in tip-top shape. You could say something like that. Okay, that's a good start. I have full confidence that modern medicine, because medicine is not the same as vaccines, modern medicine can take care of them in the event that I cannot. And you have to say that with full 100% confidence in that. If you choose not to give your kid the measles vaccine, like, you need to be prepared for when the measles comes around and not be afraid. You got to make a bigger investment, on where you stand. So, responses that you might get, right? And this is one of my favorite ones. They go, did you read this on the internet? That's why I'm constantly saying this. Oh, yeah, I used to be afraid of the internet once. I'm not anymore. Doctors and nurses spend less time learning about vaccines than any other medical topic that there is. And the internet is the largest, most comprehensive training, collection of information out there. It's got the most information, studies, medical research, knowledge ever created in human history. Like, would your aunt really take you more seriously if you're like, no, I don't use the internet at all? I have a library card. And I go to the library and I check out these 6 books and I sit there, like with the little green lamp. And I do the click, and I sit there, and then that's what I do, and I write stuff down into a book. That's what I do. You think she'll take you more seriously? Like, it's the internet. What is there besides, when people make fun of Google, well, first, no, I don't like Google. I use Safari, okay? I use Safari or Bing. What's the difference? It doesn't even make sense. Doctors use Google, okay? It's like the number 1 search engine in the world. So it's a good thing that you're using that. Crazy. Okay, if you're taking notes, leave my little sarcastic things off to the side, because then your family might be like, when did you become like the meanest person I've ever met in my life? She's so mean. okay? Because we already know about the 4 pages that they study in medical school, or you can save my medical school highlight and screenshot, I don't mind, screenshot a bunch of those responses from RNs, okay? RNs and nurses, be like, look, why are these people following other people to get their vaccine information from? Like, doesn't that scare you? Doesn't that scare you at all? Okay, so I mean, I'm telling you, these are the things that you can learn online, right? You can learn to you could take a Harvard course on American government. You could cook chef caliber meals because of the internet. You can master Photoshop. You can program mobile games. Stock investing, you could learn how to do that. This is all things you can learn on the internet. You can learn the basics of psychology from a Yale professor because of the internet. Literally, Excel, coding, data, like data scraping. You could learn other languages. You can learn how to speak and translate other languages because of the internet, but apparently you cannot use the internet when it comes to looking up vaccines. Because why? Because of our media. Because our media is the devil. They're the enemy. So then people want to tell you, do you want your child to live their life in an iron lung and be paralyzed? Okay, you guys, polio, I can't. If you're stuck with a family member on polio, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be like, hey, look, listen, Aunt Jane, I'm not going to be able to get to the cobbler if we're going to sit here and talk about this. It's just not going to happen. You brought up polio, and polio is paralysis, okay? 1% of polio cases, 1%, as the story is told, there's paralysis today, growing number of cases, none of which have anything to do with a viral threat transferred through feces. Heavy metals are proven to cause paralysis. That is in like 100 different NCBI studies. What is in vaccines? Heavy flipping metals. It's all over there. You know, you're injecting this into the public in mass. The same sort of paralysis can come from aluminum injected underneath the skin, and aluminum is added to the vitamin K shot day 1, mind you, hour 1, maybe hour 2. It's in B12 injections. Most vaccines and IV drip solutions have aluminum in them. We also have mercury teeth fillings. We're pushing the public in the right direction for full control of disempowered state. Can you pass the rolls, Auntie Jane? Like, where's that conversation gonna go? I mean, where is that gonna go? You never had polio. It didn't exist. You were poisoned by a system who blamed something invisible so that you would never catch on to that you were a slave, purposefully poisoned so that you would never excel or rise up. Okay? Is there still more cornbread? Can I have some of that too? This could be, I'm a lot of fun at family gatherings, clearly. I'm a lot of fun. Okay? Don't believe anybody who tells you otherwise. Because they are lying. They are lying. These are all fake diagnoses, okay? If you be documented poison, people are like, well, but literally over 100 medical doctors and PhD scientists who've already come out and talked about this stuff. You know, it's mind-blowing with these people. Polio. And then they're also obviously not afraid of contradictions, you know? You'll get the people who will say like, okay, you're paranoid, you're conspiracy theorist, I'm scared of poisons but not vaccinations. I mean, how come farm animals aren't having the same issues as vaccines? I had a guy ask me that in my inbox. Why are farm animals not having the same issues? Dude, did you speak to the farm animal though? Did you pull Babe aside? Did you pull him aside and ask him how he's feeling and if he's experiencing a little bit of vertigo? Like, did you talk to him? What? And then it's like, well, fine, then you're obviously not afraid of contraindications because you're scared of poison, but you're not scared of vaccines. Vaccines are poison that target the brain specifically, so you might want to think about that. You get farm animals walking around telling you, I was vaccinated and I'm okay. You have other problems. Okay? Sorry. Those ones I just, yes, please, we're gonna blame a virus and not your unhealthy lifestyle. Let's do that. It's a perfect way to deflect any attention away from what you are doing to yourself. So I assume that you confirmed personally that a virus attacked you and that it wasn't anything else that you were doing to yourself to make you sick. Right? Did you get that confirmation too? I'm sorry. I need a massage. Okay. Polio never, my husband's over here laughing. Polio never paralyzed anyone until the 1900s. Everyone had it. It never caused a problem until we began monkeying around with things. We started giving kids bad tonsillectomies, injections, and spraying them with mass amounts of pesticides. This is all documented stuff. Look up the Cutter incident. Your mind will be blown. Where we tested polio on 40,000 orphan children. Why? Because orphan children didn't have parents or guardians that had to sign their consent away. That's who we tested it on, okay? That's who we tested it on. That's going down deep. That is going down deep. And at this point, Aunt Jane's left eye is going like this. So hopefully you guys caught that. You guys screenshot that, save it. Okay, so decades later, we're also learning that there's little to no benefit in tonsil removal. They're now being questioned, right? Didn't we learn that? But back then, that was okay. That was okay to do, and it was just kids having them done, not adults. Whoa, why was it just kids then getting polio? Crazy, right? Oh man, with their life-threatening complications. You know, so polio, we could spend, wherefore art thou polio? We could spend way too long on that. Okay, what about this one? When your family and friends want to be like, then, you know, don't bring your baby around my kids. That's when like laughter ensues. Don't bring your baby around my kids. Like, come on. I know that many of them say that. Many family, many friends will talk about that. Don't bring your kids around my kids. Please. All right. Oh, why? Because you're saying that to spare them from like what, a couple hours with you, Aunt Jane, and the way that you talk? Like, great. Thank you. This is when you can say, but wait. I'm sorry. Let me get to, I'm being a little too cynical right now. Let me get into a good place here. Hold on. Somebody legit was like, okay, Natalia, well, I don't want you bringing your kids around my kids. Okay, hold on. Let me get to a good place here in my head. Aren't your kids vaccinated though? What are you worried about? I mean, when you go on vacation and you're in a third world country, and you're putting mosquito repellent on your kids, if your kid still gets bit up by a mosquito, are you looking around that resort? Are you trotting around that resort like this? Which kids here are not wearing mosquito repellent? Because mine just got stung. Who didn't put repellent on their kid? Who? P.S. My deodorant is also not working. I'm sweating up a storm here. Who didn't wear deodorant today? Because I stink. And there's me. Aren't your kids vaccinated? What are you worried about? Would be the response. Okay? That would be the response. Because aren't vaccines supposed to protect them from the disease? It kind of sounds like they're making you a little more nervous about the disease. Doesn't sound like you have much faith in them. Okay, but what about, no, then they're going to look at you and they're going to say, but what about all the other kids who can't get vaccinated? Remind them, whoa. You just said that you don't want me to bring my kids around your kids. So here's what we're going to do. If your kids were to get cancer or severe immunodeficiency, let me know. Let me know, and I will be sure to not bring my children around your kids, especially while they're sick like that. I'll be sure to keep them at home, just like we've done for centuries. And they're going to be like, what? What are you talking about? You have not heard of the most effective way to prevent disease from spreading? Well, I'm about to tell you. It's called quarantine. Quarantine. And you know what? It works. It works. The only reason that so many kids continue to get sick in school is because parents would rather pop the pills, send their kids off to school because they don't want to deal with their kids at home. Their kid is sick and they're like, oh, I can't take 3 days off of work, Jim. We just can't do it today. We can't. We got bills to pay and I can't be here with these sick kids. What am I going to do? Plus, they're going to miss out on all this school. This is what they have done to you in society, okay? They have made you so incompetent that you are literally more afraid of the thought of staying home with your child for a week to go through an illness with them so that their bodies have 100% immunity to it for the future than you are of, like, you're more afraid of that than you are of, like, the disease. Come on. You got to get people to own up to this stuff. Own up to it. You don't want to be at home with your kid while they're sick. You'd rather be at work. Own up to some stuff. This is why you tell them, you know, great-grandma wasn't afraid of the measles. They just weren't, because they knew what they had to do. They were also living in a one-income society where the mom didn't have to go to work. It wasn't forced, you know, like the government wasn't, you know, blah, 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 blah. I can get into that later. I have gotten into that. It's a lot. It's a lot. By design. It's all by design. So there. And not only that, but babies' immune systems aren't even fully developed for the first 2 years. So actually, babies are the most dependent on us keeping their immune systems okay. They are the ones who really should not be vaccinated. They shouldn't. Because their bodies can't even handle that. They can't even handle that. So what about the family member that butts in, right? It's usually like a cousin or something, like that like second, third cousin that you're just like, who invited that person? So then your cousin's gonna butt in and be like, you know, people like you are the reason that all of these diseases are coming back. And you are going to look at them in the face and go, which diseases? Ask them to name one. Ask them to name a disease, okay, because you're fully informed and you're equipped. You ask them, which ones went away? Which ones are coming back? Make them name a disease. Make them name a disease. When I'm done with this live, I'm going to share a screenshot because I'm like cracking up here. There's a woman on a forum who literally didn't even know. She thought that the disease was called MMR, okay? I was like, this. She's like, you guys keep bringing MMR back. I'm just saying. They're probably going to name smallpox. They might say polio, okay? But you got to let them know, look, smallpox was eradicated, supposedly, by vaccine, because the word eradicated means it cannot come back. Okay, destroyed completely, put to an end, done, nail in coffin, eradicated. Okay, let's go. Moving on. You know, the best way to eradicate a disease is to just give it another name. The only thing keeping these viruses around is the vaccines themselves. But you know what? That might be too much. That might be way too much. It's worth a shot. No pun intended. It's worth a shot to say that, but the measles never went away. It's a cyclical disease. Pertussis is coming back because, like antibiotics, the vaccine has put evolutionary pressure on the bacteria. And it's created a worse strain of pertussis, which is what we are seeing now, okay? There's a lot of information on that out there for you to see, okay? You guys realize it also takes an average of 17 years for the latest scientific research to make its way into your doctor's office. So your doctors, this is why they're so ill-equipped, One more thing. This is where you want to end your family chat on, okay? Before you go for the second plate. You're going to say, to conclude, Aunt Jane, because I don't know if this conversation is getting anywhere, I haven't had a vaccine in X amount of years, right? Many of us adults have connection. Oh man, I got paused there. So you're going to say, I haven't had a vaccine in 15 years. So I'm pretty much unvaccinated. But then again, so are you. You could pull up the adult vaccination schedule that they need to continue to have boosters because they don't work. You know, you're considered unvaccinated by this country's CDC. You're not up to date on your shots and boosters, and last I checked, adults can spread disease as easily as children. And then, this is where you want to leave off, okay, you guys? And it's really important that you take this note. This is how you have to end this conversation. You say, last I checked, adults can spread disease too. And then you do this.
You smarter?
And then you walk away. And that's it. And that is how you talk to friends and family when it comes to vaccines and diseases. Okay? Okay. Sorry. But that's pretty much how you should end it. In your own subtle way. In your own subtle way. Some people might be like, well, aren't you vaccinated? Weren't you vaccinated? Isn't that why you survived? Man, what did we have as kids? We still had the split option. We still had the option to just have the measles on its own, and really we only had, what, four something vaccines? I mean, obviously those of us who aren't up to date on our vaccines, why do you think we can express ourselves verbally, you know, or even in writing, and you know, because if you were taking every vaccine that was recommended on that schedule, your brains and bodies would just be so, that's why it is hard, you know. That's why Jeff was even telling me that I needed to, like, he's like, you know, because sometimes I'll have the same repetitive questions, and literally I have just sourced, I have just linked, and I'll still get people that will, you know, and he'll be like, hey, you got to take it. And he reminds me that a lot of that is because of the fluoride. And I just need I need the reminder too. I need that reminder every now and then. But man, you guys, it is not easy. It is not easy, right? So pick and choose who you're going to talk to. And the most important people that you talk to as well is going to be your kids when they are old enough to understand. It's going to be your kids. Just so your son doesn't end up like Ethan Lindenberger, who just like woke up one day and is like, what's mom been doing this whole time on these mom blogs that I need to go and get vaccinated? Like, if that's what on the Highwire show, Del, I mean, I was kind of cracking up. First of all, that entire thing I think is still sketch. But he was saying, like, what are vaccines now? Is that like the new rebelling? Like, if you're an anti-vax parent, your teenager, is that how they're going to rebel? Like I'd be like, I'd rather you get a tattoo. Please. Could you please go get a tattoo? The tattoo can say, my mom is an idiot who uses Facebook for vaccine research. But please don't go get vaccinated, please. Like, is that the new thing? Oh, honey, so wait. So you're not going to take crystal meth, but you're going to go and get the DTaP and the MMR? Is that how you're going to fight with me right now? Like, is that the new thing? So yeah. Oh man. So my time's running off on this thing for a second, but I wanted to go into, we could talk about, like, we could break down mumps, rubella, we could break down the Prevnar. Maybe I'll take a quick break and then we'll jump back on and do that. But I hope that was kind of helpful with rebuttals. Sorry. If it wasn't and it was a big waste of time, then that sucks. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there who care so much about these diseases that no one's dying from, and they're the same people that you got to look at in the face and be like, why don't you care about the people that are actually dying from vaccines, though? Because there's a lot of people dying from vaccines and being injured. Why don't their stories matter? Why is what makes their story less right now? You know, we got to stop going back to these lies. We got to start finding our own answers. Vaccines they've never been proven to increase immunity or resistance to disease. Have them find that study for you. If you're the one that's busting out studies left and right, have them look. Be like, can you please then find me the study that's proven that vaccines will increase immunity? Because I want that study. I've been waiting for it. I don't have it. So Okay, we'll chat soon. You guys, I don't even know if this was helpful or not. Maybe I just needed to vent. That's all this one was, venting.